Hello, here for another lesson around our vocabulary and the question, was magst du in deiner Freizeit? We've learned about this question and possible answers to it in a previous lesson. But what does this question, was magst du in deiner Freizeit, mean? If you answered, what do you do in your free time, then you're right. We're going to move on to another question, actually two questions today, but we're still going to be able to use these hobby vocabulary words that we've learned so far. So, those two questions are, was magst du gern? And was magst du nicht gern? And you'll notice I wrote a sentence like, ich tanze, ich schreibe, I dance, I write, okay? But if you look at the two people, maybe you can figure out, now that I've added gern, what that means. So, ich tanze gern, and you look at this smiley reaction, and then, was magst du nicht gern, if we change the question to that, and the answer was, ich schreibe nicht gern, and you look at that reaction, maybe you can figure out what it means. So when we're asking the question, was magst du gern? Gern means to do something gladly. So we had learned the question before, was magst du in deiner Freizeit? What do you do in your free time? Now, gern, what do you do gladly? In English, we would say that you like to do something, but I think it's a good way to remember that gern means gladly, because we're going to put gern in a different place than we would in an English sentence. If you look down here at my example again, ich tanze gern, ich tanze would have been its own sentence. I dance. But now that I've added gern, it means something different. It means I dance gladly, or I like to dance. And then the opposite goes for nicht gern. Nicht almost sounds like not, so think not gladly. Was magst du nicht gern? What do you not like to do? So we would add nicht gern to a sentence to say that we do it not gladly. It's not something we do gladly, and you don't like to do it. So ich schreibe is a sentence on its own. It means I write or I am writing. But when we add nicht gern, it means something different. It means I do this not gladly, I write not gladly, or I don't like to write. I know we have had some trouble with the sentence structure, so pay close attention to this next section. But what I want you to do, take a minute, I want you to pause the video and copy down this question, was magst du gern? What do you like to do? And was magst du nicht gern? What do you not like to do? Take a second, pause the video, and take this down in your notes. Now moving on to where we had problems with sentence structure. When we're looking at the question and looking how to answer the question, was magst du gern? It's very simple. So when we were learning about the question, was magst du in deiner Freizeit, we knew we could just answer ich tanze, for example. But with gern, all you have to do, just like remember we've learned this in the last unit, first subject goes in a sentence. So that could be ich, that could be a name, that could be du, then the verb with the appropriate ending, of course. And then we just add gern as the third word there. So if you want to think of this in another way, think of subject and verb as best friends, and then gern is sort of like a third wheel that, you know, the two best friends are hanging out, and then gern just shows up. So all you have to do is add gern, tack that onto that subject verb. It shouldn't come in the middle of them, but just after it. Like in our example, ich tanze gern. I dance gladly. And in the same way, with our question, was magst du nicht gern? What do you not like to do? We have our subject, our verb, and nicht gern again. We just tack that on after our person and our action in the sentence. So ich schreibe nicht gern is an example here. I write not gladly. Let's take a look at a few examples. In this example here, this is one I did want to bring attention to, and you're probably wondering, all of my other examples so far have been one-word activities like schwimmen, schreiben, tanzen, right? However, we have a lot of ones where we have Videospiele spielen, to play video games, or Fußball spielen, to play soccer. And those ones are more difficult because they have two words. So we really do have to think, we know what our subject is probably going to be, but our verb, our action, becomes a little harder. We're not going to complicate it here with gern because that same rule applies. So you put your subject, your verb, and then gern. So if we think to play is your verb, it's not Videospiele. Videospiele means video games. So we make sure our subject and verb are together. So ich spiele, and then my rule still applies. Gern is going to be that third wheel, and we pop that right in there. And then everything else is going to come after that, okay? So subject, verb, gern. For example, in this sentence, ich spiele gern, and then we complete that with what we like to play, and that's video games. Now, I want you to give it a try here. Was macht sie gern? Pick which of the answers would actually be the correct word order and have the correct conjugation for sie. Now remember, I'm just talking about she, so which one of the answers would be correct? So, sie schwimmt gern. Remember subject, verb, and gern. And remember all we had to do was think about our verb endings. Ich, I, du, you, st, he, t, sie, she, t. So sie, the she, sie, is t. Same idea. Give this one a try. Was macht sie gern? Think subject, verb, that's conjugated correctly, and gern, that's going to be sie singt gern. So, subject and verb, so our subject and our action followed by gern. And of course, with our correct verb ending, we took off the en and put on the right verb ending. Now, try another one, keeping in mind, it's still sie. Think about that verb ending and the order we want those words in, because it's going to be subject, verb, and then gern. So that answer is going to be sie kocht gern. Our action is in the middle. So subject, verb, the action, and then gern as the third wheel. Now I've chosen one here, one of our two-word vocabulary words. But just remember, subject still goes first, the actual action still goes second, and then gern goes third. Try that with the correct verb ending too. So in this one, remember, you don't just soccer, you play soccer. So spielen goes second, but because it's er, think back to our verb conjugation. Ich, I, du, you, st, he, t, spielt gern Fußball. So subject, verb, and gern. And this would still be the same, even if you did not like to play it, you would just add nicht gern in here instead of gern. Was macht gern? Keeping in mind, it is two words, but think about which one is actually the action and conjugate that verb. Here's a hint. the verb usually has an en at the end. So if we think about what this action is, it's Gitarre spielen. And spielen does have an en at the end. So subject verb in gern, spielt gern Gitarre. He plays, subject verb, gern, third, and then everything else that we need, Gitarre. So, now that you've learned more about the subject, the verb, and where to put gern, I want you to answer, was magst du gern? And here's a hint. We've been doing all of those other examples with and sie. But if you think back to our very, very first examples, I did do those with ich. And think, what's the ending on a verb for ich? Think ich, I, So keep that in mind when you're conjugating your verb. Super. Now try it with was magst du nicht gern? Remember, same idea. You're going to definitely start out with ich. Keep in mind your verb ending is e. And instead of gern this time to say that we gladly do it, we're going to use nicht gern to say that we do not like to do it gladly. So not gladly. And still, nicht gern is going to go third. Give it a try. Just want to say danke. Thank you for sticking with me through this lesson. And if you have any questions, please email me, reach out to me. Or if you didn't do as well as you had hoped in this, and you know you didn't, reach out to try and do this lesson again. Auf Wiedersehen.